10 breeds, 5 categories. Somewhere in the mountains of France, a dog the size of a small bear once stood guard against wolves for a king. Thousands of miles away, monks in the Swiss Alps bred a dog that would save over 2,000 lives. And in ancient Mexico, a tiny, silent dog was believed to guide human souls into the afterlife. Every dog breed you've ever met has a story like this, bred for a reason, shaped by the place it came from, and often surviving against odds that would have wiped out the breed entirely. Today, we're tracing 10 dog breeds back to where they began, grouped by what they were built to do. Work, herd, hunt, guard, and companion. Let's start in the coldest place here. Category 1, working dogs. Siberian Husky. The Siberian Husky story starts about 30 years ago. In the frozen northeast of Siberia, with an indigenous people called the Chukchi. The Chukchi's survival depended on these animals. They needed dogs that could run for miles without tiring, work together in a pack, and survive brutal Arctic cold. So they selectively bred native Leica dogs with local Spitznipes to get exactly that. The result could pull sleds across frozen tundra, herd reindeer, and guard camps, all while being gentle enough to sleep indoors with the family. That bond nearly ended in tragedy. In the 1860s, famine swept through the Chukchi communities, and most of their dogs died along with them. The breed survived only because it was rebuilt from what remained. In 1908, during the Alaskan Gold Rush, the dogs were imported for long-distance sled racing, and they dominated. Their fame exploded in 1925, when relay teams raced Serum 1,100 miles across Alaska to stop a diphtheria outbreak in Nome. That relay is the reason the Iditarod exists today. High in the Swiss Alps sits the Great St. Bernard Pass, so dangerous that travelers regularly died crossing it in snowstorms. Around 1660, monks at a hospice, they acquired a dog descended from Roman Mastiffs, originally just as watchdogs and companions. What happened next wasn't planned. The monks realized these dogs could sense travelers buried under snow and began training them for rescue work, sending them out in pairs, one to dig, one to run back and alert the monks. One dog became legendary. Between 1800 and 1814, a Saint Bernard named Bari is credited with saving 40 lives. Across generations, the hospice dog saved more than 2,000 people. Right up until the last documented rescue in 1897, a boy found frozen in a crevice, woken by a dog's warmth. The breed almost didn't survive the job. Avalanches killed off many rescue dogs, pushing the hospice population close to extinction. They were saved by dogs from nearby valleys, and later, in 1830, crosses with Newfoundlands, which is where the breed's long coat comes from. Category 2. Herding DOGS. The Border Collie's roots go back nearly 2,000 years. To Roman drover dogs brought into Britain, later crossed with the faster, more agile herding dogs the Vikings brought with them. That blend of Roman strength and Viking speed became the foundation for centuries of British sheepdogs. For most of that history, there was no such thing as a Border Collie, just regional working sheepdogs. Only in the area straddling the England-Scotland border did a distinct type emerge, prized for one thing: working sheep with almost no direction from the shepherd. The name didn't formalize until 1915, when the International Sheepdog Society used it to separate this working type from show collies. A dog named Old Hemp, born in Northumberland in the late 1800s, is the foundation sire of the modern breed. Most Border Collies today trace back to him. German Shepherd. Unlike most breeds here, the German Shepherd wasn't shaped gradually. It was created deliberately by one man in a matter of years. Max von Stephanitz was a German cavalry officer who admired the intelligence of the shepherding dogs he saw in the countryside. In April 1899, at a dog show, he spotted a Wolf Lake dog named Hector, bought him on the spot, renamed him Horan von Grafrith, and declared him the first German Shepherd dog. Within a month, von Stephanitz founded the world's first German Shepherd Club, building the standard around one principle: utility over appearance. Virtually every German Shepherd alive today traces back to that single dog. The breed's usefulness made it a fixture of police, military, and search and rescue work throughout the 20th century, including use by both sides in both world wars.
So the third category we have is hunting and sporting dogs. We shall begin with the bloodhound. The bloodhound's ancestry traces to the 8th and 9th centuries, to the monks at the Saint Hubert Monastery in what's now Belgium. The monks bred large scent hounds in honor of Hubert, the patron saint of hunters. Dogs built to track wounded deer and boar through dense forests, sometimes over trails that were hours or even days old. Their name has nothing to do with tracking blood. Historians believe bloodhound comes from blooded hound, meaning a dog of pure, noble lineage. Since these hounds were kept by monks, nobles, and abbots rather than common hunters, the dogs eventually crossed into England by the 11th century, and by the Mid Ages, their role had expanded from hunting game to tracking people. Today, the same nose with 230 to 300 million scent receptors, far beyond a human's, makes bloodhounds one of the only dogs whose stool evidence is admissible in court. Labrador Retriever. Despite the name, the Labrador Retriever didn't come from Labrador. It came from the island of Newfoundland, from a now extinct working dog called the St. John's Water Dog. These dogs were bred by the fishermen for one job: working in freezing Atlantic water. They hauled fishing nets and lines, dove for fish that had slipped off the hook, and then even retrieved dropping hats, all in a coat that shed ice better than long-haired dogs. Fishermen relied on them so heavily that when their ships loaded with salted cod docked in England, they have the dogs perform water retrieves for crowds on the docks. That's how English sportsmen discovered them. In the early 1800s, a handful of English kennels began refining the breed for retrieving game on hunts, eventually replacing pointers and setters as the go to gun dog for many hunters. The line nearly vanished more than once, but the breed we know today, the most popular dog in several centuries, descends from that small circle of dedicated Newfoundland and English breeders. The other category of dogs we have are toy dogs. We shall begin with the Chihuahua. The Chihuahua story starts nearly 1,000 years earlier than most people expect, with the Toltec civilization of Mexico around the 9th century. The Toltecs kept a small silent dog called the Techichi. It couldn't bark, and it wasn't just a pet. It held deep spiritual significance, believed by the later Aztec rulers to guide the souls of the dead through the afterlife. When the Aztecs rose to power, they absorbed Techichi breeding into their own culture, and the nobles were sometimes buried alongside their dogs for exactly that reason. The breed as we recognize it today wasn't formally identified until the mid 1800s, when small dogs matching this description were found in the Mexican state of Chihuahua, which is where the modern name comes from. Exactly which other breeds were mixed along the way is still debated among historians. But but the throw line back to the Techichi is well established.